Welcome to the Honest Designers Show, your transparent look into life as a modern designer. My name's Tom Ross, and I'm the founder at designcuts.com. And this week I'm joined by my fellow Brit and hand lettering expert, Ian Barnard, and American retro design expert, Dustin Lee. In today's episode, we play a little game. That sounded more ominous than I intended. We play Spark Your Creativity, I think it's called, and I'm going to explain the rules in just a second. So it's a bit of a different episode today, guys. Without further ado, let's get into the show.
I gotta say, I really tried to make you crack up while you were saying that. You guys who aren't watching the video, I was really mocking Tom hard.
He was.
He cracked a little smile, but I couldn't get it out of him.
Always a bit of a challenge to do these intros. For anyone listening, we're basically on a video chat when we record. I could see these guys generally making faces and trying to put me off. But this consummate professional will not be rocked, okay? I've done this so many times. You will not dampen my level of professionalism that I bring to this show.
I'm going to start trying harder and harder. I thought that was going to get you because I went full out, but...
Yeah, this time next week, you're just going to be getting all kinds of naked on the camera, trying to put me off.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Next time.
Yeah, look out for that on YouTube, guys. So today, Dustin, you might need to intro what on earth is going on. This is completely different from any episode we've ever done. Oh, and also we're missing Lisa. It's always very sad. I don't enjoy these male-dominated shows. I mean, for one thing, the testosterone bouncing around between the three of us is just palpable in the air right now. So we miss Lisa. She'll be back next time. And also, while Dustin prepares what it is we're about to share with all of you, Ian and I just wanted to give a massive shout out for any of the listeners who attended our co-workshop at Birmingham Design Festival last week. It went really well. It was a lot of fun. And many of you came up and said you listened to the show and were really supportive. So really, really appreciate you guys. You made it a breeze.
Yeah, it made it a breeze for the second one. But unfortunately, some of the iPads, I apologise for anyone who came along and the iPads weren't up to date with the version of Procreate because it wiped out most of my workshop because they couldn't use some of the tools. So, yeah, it was a brilliant time. Everyone still had some fun and learned. I think everyone took something away from...
Hopefully not an iPad.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, they've had to cancel it next year because they're lost on iPads.
Nicked their iPads. No, it was really fun though, so we appreciate you guys. Dustin, are you ready over there, young man?
I am ready. Okay, so a little background. If you're watching the video, you'll see this. I'm holding a box in my hand. It looks like a large box of matches. On the front, it says Spark Creativity. These are essentially little fake matchsticks with creative prompts on them. It's published by Chronicle Books. If anyone's listening from Chronicle Books, send us some free stuff. So what I'm going to do...
Money's good too.
Money is good too, but we like books. We'll take what you give us. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out these little matchsticks. You can see these matchsticks with like little words on them. And then we're going to go round table, and all of us are going to respond to the creative prompt in whatever way we want. Hopefully that will help you guys listening come up with some fresh ideas, or maybe you'll hear the prompt and you'll come up with a fresh idea. Yeah, that's it.
So no planning has been involved. We literally 5 seconds before we started.
And we're definitely not doing this because we were failing to think of a topic. This is definitely a very deliberate game plan to bring the most valuable episode ever.
There was a lot of meetings about this, a lot of committees.
Mm-hmm. And I think we're just going to keep going. We're going to try and like quick fire it, so like 5 minutes per one. Give our 2 cents or our 6 cents in this collective space. And then just see how many we can get through in like an hour or so. So, it's kind of like we're playing a game with each other and all of you listening at home. Hope you enjoy it.
I will actually use this timer to keep us on, to keep us accountable. Everyone gets 2 minutes. Sound fair?
Or no, let's just freestyle because someone might not have a particularly wordy answer. So.
Okay.
There goes your control freak nature.
Oh no, I don't like being restricted.
Well, I just know how you can really go off on topics, Ian.
Okay,
Actually,
just have have a maximum of 2 minutes.
I mean,
minimum
you have been
of-
publicly dubbed the chatterbox of the group, Ian. We get feedback every week. It's like, let someone else talk. For God's sake, man.
That's not true, is
The
it?
thing is, it feels like about a lifetime ago that we were in that small my small hotel room doing
That was so funny. Okay, guys,
here we go.
We've become one of these podcasts where we just talk nonsense and have banter, and I hate those.
We do.
We want this dry and professional.
Come on, focus.
Let's begin.
Focus.
Let's begin.
I like to think it's like people are hanging out with us. Anyways, okay, I'm going to shake this box. Oh, the purpose of shaking it is to mix them up. I don't know why, since I don't even know what's inside anyways.
Okay.
What have you got for us?
Okay,
I
first
feel,
one.
Yeah, we need to describe as you get one out, otherwise it's just dead air. This is radio.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I shook the box. I've just pulled the matchsticks out of the box. Some of these might not make sense. Who knows? We'll see what happens. First one. What can you make when you imagine there is no way to fail?
Ooh, pass. No, I'm kidding. Wow, that's quite like a deep philosophical one.
What would you do if you weren't afraid to fail?
What would I do?
The thing is,
Go on.
I have more of a what would I do if I wasn't afraid that I was going to kill myself, like jumping out of an aeroplane.
While hand lettering something.
Yeah.
Okay, so within the realms of creativity, what would we make if we weren't afraid of failure? Can we extend that? So, like, let's say, as well as failure, how about like unlimited budget and time? Because there's not that many things creatively that scare me. I'm not afraid to look terrible or be new at something. I can own that. For me, it's more like I just don't have time for everything. So, can we include that?
Interpret it. Yeah, interpret it however you can answer it best.
Okay. Well, my answer broadly then would be all of the stuff, because I see stuff every day where I'm like, oh my God, that looks so fun, but I can't add another hour or two to my day. I just don't have it.
Well, give us an example, because that's
yeah.
That's a bit
So, well, I was about to, Ian. Yeah. So, like, what you do when you were showing me your amazing illustrations when we were hanging out, where you're doing like tigers and that kind of stuff. That looks so fun. And I picked up an iPad and Procreate in our office one lunch break and just got lost in it pretty quickly. So I would love to do more drawing and illustration. I would love to learn Procreate. If I was retired right now, I would spend my days doing that for fun. So that would be perhaps my thing. I would go and rip off Ian Barnard and be a much lesser version.
Yeah, but you've got some hidden skills that you don't show off. You drew a pair of lips, then you drew a person, and they're all like a billion times better than I could do.
Well, it's lips and eyes. I can do a passable pair because I liked drawing them at school. So if I do a portrait, I basically end up with someone without a nose because I can't really draw one, or a really weird nose. So anyone who's had like a botched nose job, I can draw you. But any normal, good-looking person, the nose lets me down.
So DM Tom for a portrait.
Yeah, how about you guys? If like money, time, fear were no object, what would you be doing creatively?
I'll pass that to you, Ian. 2 minutes. And go. Just trying to keep this flowing.
Are we keeping it in the realm of creativity, or is
Yes.
it just anything?
Yes. No, it's not going to be like shaving your legs or something. So I'm being so sassy with Ian today just because we've hung out recently. So I now feel like he's one of my close local friends where you can just take the piss. But now I'm feeling mean.
Piece of advice: never interact with Tom before 11 o'clock in the morning.
That's so true. Yeah.
You did pre-warn me.
Yeah.
So
spot on.
I'll come, Dustin. I can't think of it because I'm constantly trying stuff. I'm not really worried. I can't believe I can't chance the first one.
Dustin, have you got one? Otherwise,
Yeah.
this episode is going south quickly.
I think we'll keep pushing. We're going to make this awesome. Okay. So if I had unlimited resources and was not worried about failing, I think I would make the marketplace that I wish existed. There have been many marketplaces out there, and I'm not talking about Design Cuts. Design Cuts is great, but there are some that have been very disappointing that I wish I could make my own little utopian marketplace for people.
You have got a marketplace.
No, but by marketplace, I have a shop. I think of a marketplace more as when you have multiple people coming in and selling their wares. I would like to do that and just give huge chunks back to the people, and fight my capitalistic pig urges as much as possible.
And of course, it's already been done perfectly by Design Cuts. So in this universe, there's no point.
Right. It's just across the pond. We just need something similar, basically. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Next.
Okay. Next one. Look at the situation from a different angle. Maybe a better way to put this would be, what is a situation you've been in where you've solved the problem by looking at it from a different angle?
Creatively, again. So
creativity.
Again, the whole point of this game, I think, is if you're encountering creative block, it helps you break through and see things from a different angle or feed a new idea. So can you read it one more time?
Yeah. Look at the situation from a different angle. So I was kind of expanding it to how have you in the past maybe looked at something from a different angle and found a solution? Creatively.
I think often you can get stuff from either your dabbling or even stuff that originally felt like a weakness, and you can turn that into a creative strength. So look at Ian, like he's constantly experimenting, and it would be very easy for him to stay in his lane, but he's constantly trying different angles, and that makes him more interesting and more eclectic, and he stands out from all the other lettering people who stay in their lane. And he somehow does it under one umbrella style that's awesome, so it doesn't feel like it dilutes what he's doing. Because I feel like maybe people hear, different angles, and they're like, but that's going to make me less focused or niched. But I think that's not necessarily the case if you can wrap it under one umbrella style.
Yeah, Ian's definitely somehow made his lettering into some sort of variety show that still seems to seem like Ian.
Yeah.
I feel like it's like a Saturday Night Live of art. Where they just like, didn't think of that. Like, sort of, I need to do like a designer's version of carpool karaoke.
Yeah, that'd be cool. What, just iPads?
Like iPad karaoke in terms of like karaoke being like, okay, here's a style, give it a go, make it rain.
Mm-hmm.
So
I like it. Do you often find like with that dabbling, you never know what's gonna pay off and what won't? But sometimes it surprises
is that
you.
Like I was saying, we were chatting last week at the conference that like apart from my chili lettering one, my second highest viewed video on my Instagram is now a picture of an eye, which is nothing like not the letter eye, but an actual physical eye. And it just seems like a bit weird because I'm like, I invested so much time in this lettering, and then I just randomly do a picture of an eye and it blows up. Not literally the blow. So it's just I suppose it is looking from a different angle, and I suppose for me, most of the products I've made are coming from like looking at a different angle. So, how a lot of them came from like how like the main one I can think of is like Illustrator, such a pain using textures in it because it drains it to a halt because it uses so much memory. And I was like, well, how can I do this? And I looked from a different angle. I was like, well, Photoshop doesn't struggle with it. So why don't I use Photoshop stuff in Illustrator and then somehow combine the two? And which you did, and it worked.
I like it. Another
thing that you did, Ian, was I remember for the longest time you were making fonts. I mean, you still make fonts, but you were making fonts, and I think you weren't seeing the success you wanted from the fonts. And eventually, I think through a lot of conversations, you kind of occur to you, oh, well, the people listening are not people that need fonts, they're people that are lettering. And then you looked at it from the angle of your audience more and realized, oh, they actually might find it more useful to see templates. And that just blew up because I think that angle was just more conducive to your audience. I don't know. Do you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's like, I suppose it's like, I know, being on the side of a marathon with like a bottle of water. It really aligns with what they need at the point.
Yeah.
Or you could be standing there with like a few beers. You know, a couple of people would grab it, but a lot of people don't really want to be more dehydrated by drinking alcohol. So,
well, let me add to this analogy. So I think giving people the templates to draw is like giving them water when they're along the race. Giving people that already make lettering and make fonts is kind of like trying to give them your medals for running while they're running the race.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Like, it's cool to wear a medal, but they're like, I gotta go, guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. There you go.
What's the next one?
So the next one is,
we are locating the matchstick.
You just lost them all.
So I am pulling up a matchstick right now.
Okay, he's pulling out.
No, that one's too simple. That one's too similar. I don't want to do that one.
I thought we would
just pull them out spontaneously. Don't screen them. We can shout next if it's not right.
Yeah, or have like a one-word.
Okay, here was the one that I thought was too similar. Think of some rule.
Well, no, that's rubbish. Let's literally go on to the next one if it's too similar.
Okay. We're going to the next.
All right, he threw it.
Wait, I just threw that behind me, but I didn't see it go anywhere.
Come on,
okay. Anyways,
we're wasting too much time on the transition.
Okay, do one.
We got to be quicker.
Do one thing with your hands that you usually use a machine for. And Tom, don't make this dirty. This is about creativity, okay?
Look at me, guy. Okay. All right. Something we normally use are. All right. So let's use this as like our creative playground. So if we didn't have jobs and we can just create, my first thought was rather than using a keyboard on my laptop, I would put ink on my fingertips that represented different letters. And I would do some kind of typographic piece with like finger painting by pressing the letters on that. That's where my head went.
Did you really do that?
No, I'm saying that's what I would do right now if we had a day just to play and like do this game for real.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
I've got an idea. I normally use the iPad. I could use a flick book creating whatever, like a letter, and building it up or creating a piece with a flick book.
That would be cool.
The process is the same, as in it goes through the thing and then it just suddenly, so take a long time, but it would be pretty cool.
That is cool.
Okay, I got one for you. So typically if you want to duplicate something, it's computers are ideal for duplicating via scanning or photographs or whatever. It's something that I've done in the past is like, let's say I'm trying something for my own illustration site on Instagram or page on whatever it's called, feed on Instagram. What I've tried doing is like I will paint it, or I'll say paint over like a photograph, and then I'll fold the paper and do a super simple version of essentially printing, but really it's just smashing it down onto another piece of paper, and then you end up getting this distorted version of the original. Cool. Which would normally be done in Photoshop or something, but you're like, oh yeah, you can get like some really organic, interesting results by just literally folding the paper and seeing what comes off on the other side.
Have you done that and sold it?
No, this was for my own artistic pursuits on my personal Instagram.
Okay, so why don't you try and replicate some of the most common digital effects, but in an analog way, and then call it like the analog texture pack or something? Because then you would re-digitalize them, but you'd make them, the process would be in a analog fashion.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. See, that's why these sticks are so good. They're paying for themselves. I'm writing this golden nugget down right now.
Next week we see him in the Bahamas. Thanks, Tom, for that idea.
Right. Oh gosh. Okay.
All right, here's one. So in a world of digital DMs and everything getting lost on email, what about doing a handwritten note to some of your most big, loyal supporters and followers, and
Good
going
call.
super old school and having like a wax seal on that sucker with your logo on it.
Yes.
So you buy like a wax stamp thing, and then you send that out, and you contextualize it by saying like, isn't it boring just to like live in Instagram and DMs all day? So I wanted to take the time to write you this, and you're awesome. And then they feel like they're in Victorian times.
Oh, dude, for sure.
And that's so retro supply as well. Like you could do that as like a retro theme for your company, Dustin.
You could have a seal with Dustin's face on it. That would.
Oh my gosh, that'd be hilarious. Seal with my face. Hopefully, I'll remember that I'm not talking about the mammal.
The obvious thing would be to do your little retro man on a seal.
Yeah, exactly.
Or my face. Or just make it totally random and it's Tom's face and no one understands why. And I'm just like, someday I'll tell you the story.
Sales.
Yeah.
What's the next one?
Wait, I felt like there was something to say about that, but maybe there wasn't. Oh, I was just going to say your hampers. Those are very analog. Like you could just send like a thing. Those hampers. So for background story, hampers. And by the way, for people in the United States, hampers are like gift baskets, but they call them hampers over there. I don't know. You guys know there's differences between English. Anyways, like Tom, like for Christmas will like sometimes send my family hampers full of British food, and like it's literally a highlight of Christmas time for us because we get to try all this British food. Some of it not so much, some of it delicious. It's just a difference in culture. Yeah. But I love getting those. Our whole family gathers around those baskets and is like, "Oh man, this is great." Okay,
I've got one of the baskets.
Yeah, and Ian as well, of course, because we love Ian. Wait, did you say you did get one or you didn't?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
No, yeah, Ian.
Depends on if I'm being a good boy or not, I suppose.
Yeah, only if you respond to our emails.
I got a Mars bar, I think, last year. Just a Mars bar.
We send Ian treats as well. He's lying, people.
One of the baskets that he came, actually, one basket is in my son's room with all his toys in. Another one of the baskets is where all our like winter scarves and stuff.
Oh, that makes me really happy. So this year, guys, we're actually doing the reverse of it. So instead of sending an analog hamper, I'm going to send you like an animated GIF of a hamper.
GIF.
Just every time.
Just so you know, me and Ian immediately both look disappointed.
Yeah. Like, it's just budgets and all that.
Yeah.
That's Christmas.
It's going to be an e-card.
It'd be worse. Yeah, it'd be one of those ones that's just like really cheesy animated one.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. Here we go.
What you got?
No looking. No looking. By the way, it looks like I'm riding a horse for people that can't see.
All right, not the first time I've said this to you, Dustin, but whip it out quickly.
Take a walk, tuning in carefully to everything you smell.
Wow. Might be difficult.
Creatively.
Okay, creatively. This is going to get weird. What are you smelling over there, guys? I am smelling the remnants of the 3 tacos that I just demolished before recording, which are currently causing agony in my stomach because I ate them so quickly. And I guess the purpose of this is like, so the purpose of this is like, how does that channel into design? I don't know. This one's tough.
Could you like make a I don't know, associate like a letter to a smell or like a color?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just saying, there's people who have synesthesia, which is what they see colors, see smells as colors or something like that.
Yeah.
They mix their senses up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know what I mean. Yeah. Okay, so you could do some kind of project around that, and maybe linked with memory. So it could be like whenever you smell something, it triggers a memory. You know, like if you sat in my car, it would trigger a memory of an old folks' home. Probably. But you know what I mean? Like there are some very nostalgic smells where you smell it and it's like, oh, that reminds me of like my grandpa's house or something.
And that would generate fresh ideas. So like imagine if like you were hired to brand a cookie company, and instead of just like brainstorming like with circles, cookies, and the little lines going off of it with like, I don't know, different cookie types, what if you like started with the smell of cookies and what that like brought to mind for customers, and then that informed your decisions for design. Be a completely different outcome than if you were to start with those stupid bubbles connected with lines.
Yeah, 100%.
Dustin, I got an idea for something you could do. Following on from the like analog stuff, you could do like a scratch and sniff things of like I know old vintage paint, or the smell of a lot of old things have a smell.
Yes,
some good, some bad. But you could do like something that is vintage, like old leather. I don't know whether old leather smells, and then you could have that in an envelope with your wax seal on, with your face on it.
Yes, I love that.
This
Grandma's
is a whole
Attic.
business model.
Sell it for like just a ton for like a Grandma's Attic scratch and sniff sticker.
Or you start producing your own aftershave. This is like Dustin's
retro
like, I don't know, leather
smell
couch.
like you've been living in your grandma's house for the past 20 years. Okay, next stick.
Things got
one
weird
gone,
there.
another to go.
What we got?
Hone your powers of observation.
Okay. So
that sounds more like a command than a prompt, but
yeah. It's an imperative. Okay, so I'm looking at Dustin right now. And
I'm looking
what
at
do
you.
I see a cap. He's wearing a cap, and I see this almost like Aaron Draplin simplicity in the crest, where it's got a little tree going on. I don't particularly like the yellow, because that's like bleeding. At least on camera, it's kind of bleeding into the blue. It's not clearly defined, but it's like pretty prominent. He's very very handsome man. A lustrous beard.
True. That's true. Thank you.
I don't know. Let's think how. Let's take it back to clients again. So I think actually I would lump in observation with the powers of empathy. Same thing, right? It's observing and getting in the head of your client, but understanding their business and so on. So I actually think being observant as a designer is huge, because if you can walk into a business and think, I've observed like how God, my voice is going today. I think my voice is finally breaking, like when you're 13 years old. So yeah, if you walked into your client's business and you can observe like how their customers are interacting with their business and how they feel about it, and the public perception of their brand, and the way people move around their store if they have one, and how people just seem to resonate with the colors and the simplicity, and if there's any like usability issues where people get confused, like all of those powers of observation are huge. Like you can't be blinkered, you can't be unobservant as a designer. I actually think it's probably one of the roles that demands the highest level of observation in any industry.
If you can, try and be a customer if it's possible.
I can so a story that's kind of inspiring about observation that I remember from a fellow from your country, Sir Richard Branson.
Oh yeah, old Rich. Yeah.
Rich, very resourceful man. First business was selling Christmas trees. So when he started Virgin Records back in, I think it was the 70s, maybe late 60s. I know he started with Student Magazine, and that eventually turned into Virgin Records. Mm-hmm. Anyways, when he was looking for a retail space, he couldn't afford it because he was essentially a kid with no money. So he started, but he just said, okay, well, let's go find out where the most traffic is. Where are the most people walking around where there's street traffic that could come by records? And they went to a street and they found a lot of street traffic in a certain area going by a shoe shop, but no one was walking into the shoe shop. But he couldn't afford to rent out the place above it where there was free space. So by observing that there was a lot of traffic there, and by observing that no one was going into this guy's shoe shop, he made an offer to the guy who owned the building and owned the shoe shop and said, you let me put my business above yours, and if you don't see an increase in the traffic of people walking into your shoe shop because of all of the traffic walking into our record shop, then we'll leave. And he was able to get free rent and sell records in a record shop on a very trendy street for free by giving traffic to that person. All because of his ability to observe what was going on and see what would benefit someone else.
I love that. That's so great.
Good story.
Yeah. Nice.
That guy is crafty, man. Is crafty rude? Because I mean it so positive. He just is so clever at coming up with ways to. Like, you guys have heard that story about Virgin Airlines when he started it by putting a sign up.
Yeah.
For you guys listening, I'll make it real quick. Essentially, he was stuck on like in the Virgin Islands or something like that, and he wanted to leave, but the plane wouldn't come. So he just like found out how much it would cost to charter a jet, and then once he found that price, he divided it by how many people were there, and then he just put a sign up and said like tickets to fly off the island or something, $60 or whatever it was. Collected the money. They all got in the charter jet. He made himself a little profit, and they all just jumped on the plane. That was the beginning of Virgin Airlines. Who would do that? It's so smart.
I know. I love that. It's so simple, but most people are so filled with excuses of like why it wouldn't work or it's a bad idea. And I think just getting it done.
Yeah. So clever.
Beautifully entrepreneurial.
I think I need to read his autobiography. I think it's really have some useful gems in it.
Like, yes. It is called what isn't it called? Something
there's
Virgin.
A bunch of them. I've got like the Virgin Way, but there's so many.
Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to a next.
All right, next match.
Anyways, find it, you guys. It's an amazing book. Losing My Virginity. That's what it's called.
Oh yeah. I have read that.
Okay, I say one more, and then we should wrap it up. Okay, I'm shaking the box, riding the horse, and this one says, "Turn off your inner critic. Creatively.
Wait, turn off your inner critic.
Turn off your inner critic."
Okay. So that's dealing with imposter syndrome and that kind of thing, right? So yeah, just self-doubt, which we talked about a bunch on the show. And I got this question at our workshop, Ian, if you remember.
Yes.
And we both answered it, so maybe we can relay our advice there. But for me,
I can't remember what I said.
So how do you turn off? So Tom, how do you turn off your inner critic when like part of you is like, Tom, that's the dumbest idea ever. Don't do it. You're going to ruin yourself.
First of all, Dustin, I have some self-compassion, and I tell myself it's normal to have that inner critic, and we all have it. So I don't need to doubly beat myself up. I'm already having the inner critic. I don't need to doubly beat myself up by feeling bad for having it, because we all have it. So that kind of alleviates one stress. And then when it's there, I have a really like bad way of dealing with it potentially, because instead of trying to work through my issues, I just kind of accept that they're going to be there, and then I just throw myself into the next thing as a distraction, which might sound kind of crazy, but
wait, could you say it one more time? I think I missed that.
So I talk about this in my personal show and stuff, but when I bounce around in my own head with like imposter syndrome and insecurity, I try and get out of my head and into someone else's. Is how I solve it. So this lady at our workshop asked a similar question, and I was trying to give her a really valuable answer. And I said, I'm so focused on you and trying to bring you value right now that I don't have time to be thinking like, is this going to be a bad answer? Is it going to be terrible? Are people judging me? Because all my attention was on her. And so that's what I do every single day. I keep myself so busy, and I'm so focused on like my community or you guys or the listeners of this show. I'm looking more outwardly than inwardly. And that makes me feel less insecure, and that kind of silences that inner critic. Because for me, it's when I'm doing less, like when I'm frozen and paralyzed and I'm like, oh, I'm no good, then that perpetuates. So then you start bouncing around in your head, you get increasingly anxious, and then you do less, and then you feel worse, and you do less again, you feel even worse. And it's like this downward spiral. So as soon as I start actually like looking outwardly, I become less like the insecure teenager who refuses to talk to anyone and who's like staring in the mirror, like picking their appearance apart kind of thing. And I become much more like, hey, I'm going to talk to you and you and you and make friends with you and help you. And so you see what I mean? The differentiation between like looking outwardly and inwardly.
So can I ask, is that what happened when, because remember before you did, last time we recorded, you were at is it Manchester? Birmingham, I'm sorry. Last time we talked, you were in Birmingham. It was the day before you were going to do your workshop. Mm-hmm. You were expressing something you've expressed many times, which is like an uncomfortableness with doing like public speaking things particularly. And did you find that that's what happened? Like, it sounds like maybe that is like, did you find that once you started doing it, you just focused on the people there and it went away? Or how did that work out?
Yeah, that's a perfect example, right? So when we're surrounded by 100+ people, and I'm trying to give them value, and I'm getting them to respond by putting their hands up, and I'm talking to them, then that's very different than me sat alone in the dark in my hotel room freaking out about the prospect of something scary. And I think that metaphor can be applied to like everything in life, especially creativity. Because if you're there being like, oh, I'm no good, I equally see people who are like collaborating with people with a similar style. So let's say Dustin, I could be alone in my bedroom being like, oh no, I'm no good, I suck, I've got this inner critic I just can't silence. Or I could reach out to you and it's like, hey Dustin, I like your style, should we do something? And suddenly we're on a call and we're having fun like creating together. You see the difference?
Yeah, I like that. Yep. Good answer.
That would be my answer. Yeah, that was a really long-winded way of saying that.
Yeah, but that's great though. It's great. I'm putting 2 thumbs up.
Okay.
Not that he needs it, but that's my seal of approval. That seems like a good answer right there.
And Tom seemed like a natural when he was doing his workship. So
thanks, mate. Well, so did you. But you are the Procreate expert.
I've done it. I've done workshops before, so I would have no excuse. But I think sometimes you just need to just do stuff before your brain has a chance to sort of catch up with you.
Yeah.
So or just like you say, busy your mind beforehand with so you don't get into that place, which is hard. And if you're in that place, then you just sort of. I think I've never done anything where like 100% of the people said, no, you're not this. Not you might get one person or 2 people. You get a lot on YouTube, but not in person.
Right.
But just
YouTube is horrible.
One thing, you're not going to please everyone. So, and you never like people are there not to, unless they're slightly disranged, see you fail. They're there to they're there to learn from you, to get some tips from you, to be encouraged by you, and so they're all on your side. Like if you're doing something like speaking or putting, people. Yeah, and Tom said it in his thing. I can't remember what it was. On the other side of fear. What's on the other side of fear?
Oh, confidence.
Confidence.
Yes.
And so Tom took the step and did his first public speaking gig, which was the workshop. And do you feel more confident now?
I don't go do it again.
100%.
Yeah, I literally I've got the bug now.
Yeah, and so it's just that one, and it's starting, isn't it? It's that first step, and every time you do it, it gets better. It gets easier.
I think when we talked last time, we were like talking about how it's kind of like if you watch people who do something like skydiving, like they're scared to death, and as soon as they land on the ground, they're like, let's do it again. Something I've noticed about myself with my inner critic is I like Tom's answer the best, by the way. I think it's probably the best answer to the question, but I've noticed if I just try my best on something, like we just try our best for me, it's, with Retro Supply. If I try my best and we release it and I explained, for instance, we did a workshop, but we knew there were certain things about it that like, we're like, oh man, like the video might not be good enough. This might not be good enough. By just trying our best, putting our heart into it, and then being honest about the shortcomings and really trying to boost up what we think's great about it, it eliminates that. Like you don't feel as scared. And also, like I've realized from releasing stuff, and you guys probably have too, all of you guys have released probably easily over 100 things, I would guess. Tom, no question, that it's so rare that someone is so mean as to be like, oh my gosh, you're a horrible hack. Like if you put your heart into it and try and it doesn't work, people forgive you and move on, and life goes on and you learn something.
Yeah. I like
and
it.
People are so busy, if you do fail, they're not going to remember it. They're going off to the next thing. So even if you muck up,
they're busy there with their inner critic, keeping them company.
They're busy on their phones.
Right.
Right.
2019.
Right.
We got one more, Dustin?
We have as many as we want to do. Okay,
Cool.
Here's one. Shaking it. Let's make this a good one.
All right, what we got?
Ask people from different professions how they stay inspired.
Okay. So I've talked about this before, but maybe not even inspiration, but I love stealing from different industries because it's so useful instead of being in the bubble of like your competitors or your peers who are very similar. They're not the people you should be stealing from. but I regularly steal ideas from like movie campaigns, from print ads, from people in like video hosting. Like there's a company I'm thinking about in particular that we use. All of these like disparate people, I love stealing their ideas. Like there's past clients of mine in the music industry, and I'll see something they're doing, and I'm like, oh, that's really cool and creative. We use that, and it never bothers anyone because we're in such different spaces. It's not even close to competing, and it's just kind of stealing it and then creatively applying it to what you're doing. Like not like ripping off every pixel, but just being like, oh, that's a cool notion. I'm gonna try that myself.
I find myself doing that too. I know who you're talking about by the video provider, by the way. You probably don't want me to say it.
No, I can say it like Wistia. So
yeah, that's what I thought.
I got a business crush on them because I think they're great. They're an awesome company. I like their brand.
They are great. Yeah, they keep it. Yeah, I love them too. So I tend to do the same thing, but with copywriters. Like in terms of copywriters, I'm talking about like there's heroes for copywriters that used to send direct mail pieces. It's essentially the junk mail you'd get. No one would think like that'd be a cool place to steal from, but I love like getting ideas from that. I also love infomercials. I don't know if you guys have this in stores in the UK, but here we have sections in some stores that are as seen on TV sections, and it will be different stuff that they sell on TV. I love the whole way those things are put together, and I love the idea of applying that because they did that a lot, especially in the 50s and 60s, 70s, 80s. There was so much of that kind of selling going on in a variety of ways. I love the whole consumer propaganda copywriting approach to things, and so I'll oftentimes look outside the industry completely and try those kind of things because I just think they're fun.
So I read reading a book at the moment called 1 Million Followers about how to get one. This is not like it sounds like a book where it's like opposite to what we're preaching in terms of like it's not about the followers like we did in the workshop, but something that he says, the guy who wrote the book, he did some work with Taylor Swift, and when Taylor Swift was sort of getting popular, she spent 18 hours signing autographs and like a meet and greet with her fans. And wow. And he was just saying how that impact would, it's not just, however many people that would have been, sort of 300-400 people, but actually those people would have been felt so good about that experience, would have then posted to all their social platforms, and then people roughly have about 400 friends on Facebook. That's 400 times that other 400, and just how big or expanse. I was just thinking, well, how does that work as like a designer or a creative? And I was thinking, Tom, you do like your shows where people come and ask you questions, and you have like a group of people, and you I think it was 3 hours you spent on the call on what was it, Friday?
On Friday, after a long day, and I was like, I'm really rushed before dinner, and I jumped on my weekly call with my followers where they asked me questions, and it went for 3 hours straight, and I was like,
and what was funny was one of your people who was on the call messaged me after going, sorry that you got delayed for dinner. I was waiting for Tom so
I did a 3-hour call, and then on the back of the workshop teaching marketing for creatives, I said I'm going to prove a point about some of the stuff I was demonstrating. So I said, everyone in the audience, I'm going to ask you to DM me saying prove it, and prove that you communicate with your followers and get back to them. So then after the 3-hour call, I had 60 DMs where I video messaged all of them and had to go through their profile and find their first name. So I was like, hey, Dustin, like, I love your retro design work. Thanks so much for being at the workshop. So then that was after the 3-hour stint.
Dude, no. That sounds so exhausting.
But I was thinking, how could you turn this into, if you're not Tom with his massively engaged following, how could you could like set up sort of like some design surgery where you put it out on your feed saying, I'm going to be here, any of your questions, doing like a Q&A and stuff like that. And so people feel part of that, or like, if you've got some skill, Like if you can do lettering, then people love having their name lettered.
Mm-hmm.
So you could just spend a lot of time, and then that and that impact of people, because when I've done a bit of time where I was doing people's names, and they take and then you send them the image, and then they post it to their feed and to their friends and stuff like that, and it's just a really great way of like giving, and also the return is in how it sort of spreads out.
Ian, you could do it for 18 hours a day, where literally you put on your stories the ask a question thing, and we're like, say yes if you want me to letter your name, and then you just letter it and tag them in your stories, and they would all get the notification and then reshare your stories with their audience, like you just said.
Yeah.
And that's so for you, kind of crazy. For someone with 1,000 followers, great. Do that and do it for 28 people.
You guys, what could I do for Retro Supply like that, you think? And just keep in mind that I don't have a permanent Adderall drip going into me like Tom does.
You could sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, you go. You were just about to.
You could have some kind of variety of some of your products, and then have a template where you update their name on it. So it could still be the name idea, but let's say it's like a retro template where it's got all these grungy textures over it and it looks really nice and fancy. And let's say it could be like the front of that Matchbox, right?
Uh-huh.
So imagine that's on its side, so it's on like landscape mode on the phone, and then you're saying fill out this thing, ask a question, and I'm gonna update it with your name, and then it looks so fancy that it's like you created a custom piece just for them, but really you're just posting it and updating the type each time, and the template updates itself. So you have some kind of.
What would prompt me to send that to them?
Well, not send it, like you put it on your stories, and you have that ask a question thing, and you say type yes if you want me to like create a retro piece of art using your name that you can reshare.
I'm
going to be doing this today in order to create like wallpapers for your iPhone, right? So then you do that, you create a dozen templates or get Suzanne to or whatever, and it could be like an old B movie poster template, it could be like a variety of different styles, and then you do as many as you can, and then each time you encourage people to hold their thumb on it so it freeze frames it, and then screen capture it, and then they can use that as their phone background. And imagine like some old horror movie looking template that had your name instead of the movie title. People would love that. And then you can weave in a narrative being like, and if you're interested, this was done using this particular product from my store.
That's such a cool idea. Yeah, because I can picture we have some products that it'd be fun to show how fast it can be used to do things. Or even, I mean, you could even with a font, but like I'm thinking more with like our plugin templates where it does effects. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, have an amazing one. Yeah. But yeah, but I bet even if you were just to demonstrate a font and do it with their name and like have a cool font layout or typographic layout.
Yeah.
Such a good idea, dude.
It wouldn't even have to just be names. You could say, I'm doing like retro iPhone wallpapers today. So in the ask a question thing, type out a phrase that you want to go on it. And then let's say someone's like, creatives love coffee, or like, I hate Mondays, or whatever it is that they want for their wallpaper. That becomes more scalable because unlike their specific name, that's a wallpaper that all of your followers could potentially want. So anyone watching the story could save a bunch of them and just cycle through them as their iPhone wallpapers.
Oh, that's such a cool idea, dude. Yes, I wrote that down.
You get all the ideas today, Dustin.
I know. Like I literally have 1, 2, 3, 4 good ideas.
Cool. Look forward to seeing it.
Well, I will probably only do one, but
sure.
Let's crack on.
I'm not going to. Let's be honest. I'm not going to do the scratch and sniffed old lady stickers. It's not going to.
I love that idea.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, maybe someday, but I can only do so much. Okay, yeah, quick fire. Last one. Okay.
All right, Ian, you take this one.
Read about or learn something outside your area of expertise.
We just did that, kind of.
Okay.
Now, do you know what I really want to learn?
Go on.
Is how to fix my car.
Okay, different one.
I just think it's like,
Okay.
Oh wait,
one of the
I'm
things
sorry.
I
I'm
used to
sorry. I thought you were joking. Go ahead.
no, that I literally like just like it's one of the things I use the most, but I don't know the least amount about. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I actually kind of misconstrued the question. So yeah, something apart from design that we wish we were great at. That could be an
Oh, okay.
interesting
'Cause, like-
personal tidbit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's
Ian
sometimes
wants
it's
to be a
amazing how
mechanic.
sometimes actually learning a trade or learning a skill from another area
Mhm.
can actually impact what you can do in your creative abilities. Because like if you're good at a builder, you can then maybe transfer that into some sort of sculpturing. If you're a painter and decorator, you can apply that. Or I suppose it's not like saying, well, how does that a car, fixing a car, how does that relate to sort of lettering? I don't know until I learn about it, and there might be something in that you think, actually, I can use this as a tool, or this would work really well.
Yeah.
I
get that.
You got?
Yeah, I get it.
I have the same thing with you guys familiar with those Raspberry Pi devices?
Yes.
They're I don't understand
They're
correctly.
mini
Maybe a listener can
computers.
describe it. They're essentially like little tiny components that you can build robots, little tiny electronic computer mechanical things. And you can buy them for very cheap, and like there's a whole huge community of people that can build stuff with them. Anyways, I would love to learn how to build some stuff with Raspberry Pis.
I've never heard of it, but that sounds cool.
Yeah, you can use that to make like you can put a bit of code on it so it can use it as like turning your coffee machine on at a certain time.
Oh wow, that sounds crazy.
Or you could hook it up so like it's connected to a counter and it tells you every time you get a new follower on Twitter or something. I mean, it can do anything. It's like literally the sky's the limit. It can do any fun little device.
You can get most products. I think it's the ability to actually do it yourself and code it up and build it and stuff like that. Because there's the things you learn in the process are invaluable. Because I can buy.
And it's very hands-on. It's not like you're typing on a computer. You're doing stuff.
Yeah, really physically getting in there. And because you can buy most stuff, you can buy like you say a Twitter or a YouTube or whatever it might be follow account, but being able to produce that yourself, you might find in the process of doing that. Like I'm a qualified electrician, I'm still trying to find out how that can relate to, I suppose it might have helped a bit with the electrical paint.
Dude, make some science with light bulbs.
Have you guys seen this thing called If This Then That?
Yes.
Yeah, it's pretty genius. So you can set up these links where it's basically a logic of if something happens, then something else gets triggered to happen. So it could literally be like, if I get a new Instagram follower, send Dustin an abusive email laughing about it.
Yes.
You can do all kinds of crazy stuff where it's like if an astronaut goes like directly over my head, send me a text letting me know. There's all kinds of good stuff, and there's more useful stuff than that. That's just like the novel bits.
If someone sends me a support email, then automatically send Clorox bleach to Tom.
Harsh, but okay.
Oh no, I didn't mean as anything bad. I just meant like you could make any random thing happen with these things. It's
like
crazy.
If someone emails Dustin, add 10 minutes to his nap and meditation time because it stresses him out.
Or
you could make a drinking game of
it. Or if Dustin replies to email, you'll send him another hamper.
If Dustin,
if he responds to 50 emails, he gets a hamper.
If Dustin replies to my email, what's that?
If you put that in my emails and every time it shows like you're just 15 away from a hamper from Design Cuts, dude, I'd be answering those things so crazy.
You're going after that raspberry jam. Yeah, if Dustin replies to my email, automatically send round a paramedic because I would have a heart attack.
Oh gosh. Okay, guys, I really gotta go.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for listening. This was a highly unusual, fairly odd episode, but I hope you.
I thought it was good.
I hope you had fun with us playing. What's it called again?
It is called Spark Creativity by Chronicle Books.
Spark Creativity, Chronicle Books. You need to work on a more memorable name. I keep forgetting this.
Yeah.
We need like
creative, like
BAM or something. No, that's terrible. Anyway, so
but it's all about the fact that it's a matchbox.
Oh God!
Come on, Tom. Go on.
Okay, maybe it's just that I'm having indigestion and feel sleepy. That might have something to do with it, not their branding efforts.
Yeah,
we love you,
it's
Chronicle
cool.
Books. Please send us money.
I like it. Send me some.
I like it.
Cool.
Send me more.
We're like spoiled kids.
I gotta go. That's my
cool.
My,
Thanks so much for listening, everyone. We will see you next time, and we'll be back with the ever so lovely Lisa Glanz. Bye from us.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. As always, you can find full show notes over at honestdesigners.com or find us over on iTunes and now Spotify by searching for The Honest Designers Show. And remember, we're now on social media too, if you search for Honest Designers. If today's episode helped you, then it would mean the world to us if you took just a moment to leave us a quick review over on iTunes, as this is one of the best ways for other designers to discover the show. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you next week right here on The Honest Designers Show.